Thank you, Cathaoirleach, and I want to move the counter-motion that Dáil Éireann notes that public health emergency has caused significant hardship and stress across our population, not least parents and children, and acknowledges the issues raised by the Extended Maternity Leave 2020 campaign established by mothers currently on maternity leave and by the National Women's Council of Ireland's support of the campaign. That Dáil Éireann recognises that support for families as we begin to reopen is of paramount importance and welcomes firstly the financial support for those experiencing job insecurity in the form of the pandemic unemployment payment, the support for employers in maintaining their staffing through the temporary wage subsidy scheme, the reopening of childcare, which has relieved many parents of the burden of childcare while trying to work. That Dáil Éireann recognises and acknowledges the many advances made in enabling work-life balance for parents in recent years, the introduction of 2 weeks paid parents' leave for each parent, the extension of unpaid parental leave from 18 to 22 working weeks in September 2019 and extending to 26 working weeks from September 2020, and the introduction of 2 weeks paternity benefit in 2016. Finally, that Dáil Éireann welcomes the fact that this Government is proposing to examine in early course, as part of the budgetary process, the possible extension of paid parents' leave and benefit from 2 to 5 weeks, which constitutes an additional 3 weeks per parent, 6 weeks, and the possible extension of the period in which parents' leave can be taken by the cohort eligible until November of 2021. Cathaoirleach, it is entirely understandable that new mothers are seeking an extension of maternity leave and benefits due to the COVID-19 pandemic. These have been extremely strange and stressful few months for all of us, and I have no doubt that being at home with a new baby without the usual supports must have been extremely challenging and continues to be challenging for people. Not having grandparents, siblings and friends around to share the joy and indeed the work of minding a newborn is difficult, and I think everybody in this House today can recognise this. The Government is acutely aware, and I am acutely aware, that families across this country, many families, have suffered during the pandemic, that social distancing is particularly hard when you are caring for a young child or children, and you have to be cautious about every social interaction. In saying that, the Government is of the view that a temporary enhanced entitlement to maternity benefit is not the appropriate course of action. This is not about money. The change being sought is a complex change from a legal perspective. It's not as simple as being suggested. Adopting the proposed measures would require me, firstly as Minister for Justice and Equality, to bring forward primary legislation to amend the Maternity Protection Acts 94 to 2004 in order to provide that women who have already started or completed the maternity period would be entitled to take the further 13 weeks leave. The Minister for Social Protection would also be required to amend the Social Welfare Legislation Consolidation Act 2005 as amended to provide for the associated payment of maternity benefit at €245 per week for the period of any extension. The amendment itself would require legislation to have a retrospective effect. Retrospective legislation, as we know, is extremely rare and can raise constitutional issues also. In addition, there may be many legal difficulties in identifying the relevant cohort to which the amendment would apply. There are also practical considerations for how such an extension would, in fact, be implemented in circumstances where some mothers, as we know, have already returned to the workplace or are intending to in the very near future. An extension to maternity leave, while yes, it would benefit a number of people, will also have impacts on others, and we have to be conscious of that, most obviously on employers who are already struggling with the impact of COVID-19 on their workplaces and on other employees who they themselves may have had to manage complex childcare arrangements during the last 3 months, as many in this House will have done also. Any time we introduce a change in the mandatory leave arrangements for employees, and we've seen this in the past, we have to consider these impacts and we have to try and achieve the right balance between home life and work life. This is all the more important now given the extraordinary challenges to working arrangements that the whole country has undergone. It would not be a responsible act as a Minister for me to add a significant additional element to the challenges that business managers, employees, in particular SMEs, are facing to resume their work during the COVID-19 pandemic. These are businesses struggling to stay open and to keep their employees healthy and working, and these issues that they are likely to face have also been raised with me, as have the concerns by many mothers. I know they're concerned about the additional burden this proposal would place on their businesses and their employees, so we have to look at both. That being said, again, this Government is firmly committed to enhancing the time that parents can spend with their new children, but we want to do so in a way that it benefits, that any of the benefits or indeed resulting burdens are spread widely and equitably across mothers and fathers and don't come as an unexpected additional burden to our key SME sector. So what the Government is proposing is to advance the extension of parents' leave and benefit to 5 weeks for all parents of children born on or after the 1st of November 2019 as an alternative to the temporary targeted extension of maternity leave and benefit. The proposal will enable every eligible parent of young children to spend additional time with their child in the future. I'm sure deputies will agree that this is a more desirable outcome than a reform limited to a specific group at a specific time. Parents' leave and benefit was introduced on the 1st of November last year, 2019, with the commencement of the Parents' Leave and Benefit Act 2019. The Act allows for a possible extension of the period of parents' leave and benefit. An order can be made by the Minister for Justice, myself, to provide for an extension of parents' leave. This can be done with the consent of both the Minister for the Employment and Social Protection and also the Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform. The making of such an order requires prior approval of both houses before the Oireachtas. In addition to leave for parents that is already in place, such as maternity and paternity leave, the legislation provides an individual entitlement for each parent for a child born or adopted on or after the 1st of November 2019. The parents' leave entitlement is currently 2 weeks' leave for each parent to be taken within 52 weeks or 1 year of the birth or placement of his or her child. Parents may also be entitled to parents' benefit, which is paid at €245 per week for 2 weeks. This is the same as the maternity benefit. An extension of parents' leave and benefit, I believe, will have a positive impact on family life. If we look at evidence, it shows that children benefit from being cared for by spending time with both parents, particularly when they are young. Parents' leave provides fathers as well as mothers with an opportunity to participate in the care of their child at this young age. Given that paid parents' leave cannot be shared between both parents, an increase from 2 to 5 weeks in effect provides an additional 6 weeks per family. We've also intended to extend the period in which leave can be taken. This allows the leave to be taken not just in the first 52 weeks, but in the first 2 years of a child's life, rather than the first year, as is the case at present. These changes would apply to all new parents once the reforms are approved, and the parents of children born in the pandemic will be eligible to take leave at the same time as all other parents once Budget 21 process is completed in November. This is something that would not have happened without these changes that we're proposing. The proposals contained in the counter motion will be considered as part of the Budget 2021 process coming into force thereafter. Cathaoirleach, I just want to finish by saying that I do understand the difficulties. I have spoken to many parents here, but I do believe that the measures that we are intending to introduce in the budget, while it won't go fully to achieving what they have asked, I do believe that it will go some way to helping not just a specific set of parents, but all parents in the coming years and months or weeks and years. So I commend this motion to the House. Thank you.
Thanks.